God, Britain does this stuff well, doesn't it? Although there is a row already brewing. A row over a number of things. Firstly, are enough of you going to be able to get in to see, to file past, to pay your respects? There is a suggestion, I don't know how, but somehow they try and get more of you through. The queue could be 5 miles. You'll start by Lambeth Palace and you'll end up down in Southwark Park. I appreciate you have to have a knowledge of London to know what that means, but that is quite some queue. Indeed, my colleague Theo Ushwood is already walking the length of it now, and you'll hear from him a little bit later. And then there are other concerns as well, not least the fact that in some places, as people are queuing, they're being told they can't bring chairs. Let's get to the gates of Buckingham Palace and pick up on the latest. LBC Charlotte Lynch reports. Charlotte.
Well, Nick, you mentioned those remarkable scenes last night as thousands of people gathered to see the Queen's coffin arrive at Buckingham Palace after she left Scotland for the final time. The casket was flown from Edinburgh and was driven from RAF Northolt. This was the sound of the crowd as the hearse pulled up. It was amazing scenes, of course, and we will see more of that over this next day and indeed until the funeral on Monday. Buckingham Palace, Green Park and the routes surrounding it, the crowds are already building. Dozens are already camped here, some of whom have waited all night. It is now almost like a security fortress as thousands and thousands are expected to arrive to see the Queen's coffin later in a procession from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall, where she will lie in state until her funeral on Monday. Well, people here have come prepared for the bad weather. They have brought deck chairs, sleeping bags, even tents, even though those items are banned. They have been allowed them up overnight. This morning, though, police have been telling people they must pack them away. These royal fans have told me why they have taken such measures to be here.
Pack away the tent for us. We've been here all night, but I haven't been in the tent.
They need to pack away the tent. Yeah. Are you going to pack away the tent?
Yes, I will.
You'll pack away the tent.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair? It is raining, and you're not doing anyone any harm.
I'd rather stay without the tent as well, if I could.
What was it like yesterday and overnight?
No, it was really nice. It was really busy. Like everyone just wants to get everyone else through. Do you know what I mean? Like
Cold night, haven't they? And sort of making sure everyone's warm and got the cold drinks and everything. It's been nice.
Oh yes, we have to take it down every day about 6 o'clock in the morning.
So you're allowed to keep it up overnight.
And put them, yes, we can put them around about 11 at night, provided there's not a lot of people here. Even if there's thunderstorms, we still have to stay outside. Lightning, we still have to stay outside. And at 11 o'clock, we can put the tents up, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning, we've got to put the tents down and take all the stuff out, put them in bags, bin liners.
Well, there are hundreds of security and police officers, 1,000 security personnel and police will be lining the route when the Queen lies in state. Of course, so many people are expected. They, of course, want to make sure that things are as safe as possible. The coffin has been resting in the bowroom here at Buckingham Palace until the ceremonial procession to Westminster Hall for the lying in state.
In 300 yards, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355.
5 miles, long waits, possibly even 17 hours. Of course, if it's anything like the scenes that we saw at St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, some people could be waiting all night. There are strict policies. Only one small bag per person is permitted, and water bottles aren't allowed unless
Keep right.
Clear. The Culture Secretary, Michelle Donnellan, says it may have to close if it gets too full.
There will be a point where we have to eventually close the queue because there is a hard deadline on the last day of 6:30 a.m. and so we will be monitoring the flow of the queue throughout and ensuring that we close it at a point where everybody within the queue can actually then pay their respects.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London Heathrow Airport.
Stephen Kershaw's Detective Chief Superintendent at the Metropolitan Police and was a borough commander and joins me now. Well, we already know the police have been politely reminded they don't necessarily need to arrest people who say the wrong things at these demos, maybe just clear the person away. Do we really need to make sure what's in people's water bottles and tell them to take their tents down? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. In essence, yes, they do. Regarding the water bottles, well,
Unfortunately, history has shown to us that terrorists carry illegal substances within plastic bottles.
Well, we better not have anyone with a backpack then, Mr. Kershaw.
Well,
No, come on, politely, sir, if you're going to put forward that palpable pile of cobblers, I'm going to say to you, we'd better strip search everyone and go through metal detectors. No one with a backpack, everybody better take their shoes off, and no one with a metal belt. Dear God, sir, can we not have some perspective?
Well, people can have rucksacks, and when they go to...
Why? They could carry something. If you're not going to allow liquids in, why are you allowing rucksacks in?
Well, liquids are easily thrown.
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
You mean I can't take something out of my backpack and throw it?
Well, the backsacks will be searched as people going into... The rucksacks will be searched as they go into the chapel where the Queen.
Do you think the police are a bit out of step here, Mr. Kershaw? The royal family have shown themselves to have absolutely caught the spirit of the nation. And meanwhile, the police, with an enormous job to do, and I don't know if you were listening, but the way they escorted the Queen's body from Northolt to the palace was absolutely exemplary. And the way the blokes, I think they were all blokes, apologies if one wasn't, the way they bowed their heads at the final part is stunning, is world-beating. And then you have cops saying, you can't put your tent up. And one saying to my reporter, where's your permit to talk to people in the Royal Park? Give me a break, Mr. Kershaw.
Well, I'm not aware about where's your permit to talk to people in the park, but so far as the tents are concerned, the commentary I've just heard from the public have been very, very reasonable. They've understood that tents have been allowed to go up at a certain time, and they cooperate when they've been asked to take them down. I don't see what the issue is. Is it something that is being manufactured by the press here that there's an animosity about it?
Well, I don't know.
All the commentary I've just heard is people saying, well, yes, we're allowed to put it up at 11 and we take it down at 6 in the morning.
Yes, I don't know if you were listening to the commentary yesterday where people were being arrested and one even charged because they have anti-monarchy views. I'm sure you don't support that.
Well, of course I don't support that, and I think, as you saw in the press reports late last night, that the police have moved with the mood of people, and they have sent out clear directives to their officers. But there's a balance to be had. Lessons have been learned. And so I can't justify, I don't know the full facts around why individuals were arrested.
No, of course you didn't. It was in Edinburgh anyway, you weren't there.
But to be fair, it's not unreasonable for officers to go and challenge individuals, to ask them what they're up to, because you know that there are individuals within our society who sadly stalk the royals, and unless you go and speak to somebody and find out who they are, what their motives are, you're not going to know whether they're a threat. And all that I've heard of yesterday was that the reports I heard was the police officer speaking to somebody in a manner that was quite reasonable, asking them to account for their conduct, and then trying to...
But you honestly support, lastly, Mr. Kershaw, the idea that the little old lady with a bottle of Ribena is not allowed to keep that on her person?
Well, I do, because you have to have one rule for everybody, unfortunately.
I'm grateful for your time. Stephen Kershaw was Borough Commander for the Met, and also served as Detective Chief Superintendent. We're going to have your reactions on that. Of course you need security. I'm not suggesting for a moment you don't have security. And I would have bombed sniffer dogs going up and down the line all the time. Of course you need that. But the little old lady who wants to have her Ribena, or anything else you want to put in a bottle, I don't know, orange juice, that's probably a better one. No aces, I don't know whether makes and stuff. Is that really what we want? We'll take your views on that. 7:16 LBC News headline, Simon Conway.
The Queen's coffin will leave Buckingham Palace later to be taken to Westminster Hall, where she will lie in state until the day of her funeral. It's been confirmed the queue for people to see the coffin over the coming days could be as long as 5 miles. And latest figures show inflation fell slightly in August to 9.9%, down from 10.1% in July. LBC weather, rain in the far south slowly clearing, otherwise mostly dry with sunny spells, a high of 22 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. In central London, lots of roads are closed, including all approaches to Trafalgar Square, including the Strand, Whitehall and the Mall. Also, Victoria Embankment, Westminster Bridge, Horseferry Road and Millbank stay closed, and all the roads around Buckingham Palace remain closed whilst people pay their respects. So all the buses in central London are severely disrupted, and do expect delays on the surrounding routes, especially over Waterloo and Lambeth bridges. Elsewhere in London, very busy on the North Circular Road southbound to the A13 junction because the traffic lights aren't working, and on the M40 southbound at junction 10 at the A43 exit, that exit slip road remains closed to cars overturned.
This is LBC.
Oh, so sorry I'm late, sweetie. I'm Rachel, you were the best pine tree the school's ever seen.
Well, you missed my deforestation scene. Where were you?
I got held up, I'm afraid. Daddy had to sort out landlord insurance on a comparison site.
Who did you choose?
A Direct Line.
Dad, everyone knows Direct Line on comparison sites. I'm not angry and disappointed.
Search Direct Line, because everyone knows we're not on comparison sites.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973. This is LBC.
Philip Schofield here. We Buy Any Car reckon you could find out how much your car's worth in under 30 seconds. I know, I didn't believe it myself, so I timed it. It's true, it actually took me only 26 seconds. Not that it's a race. So if you want to find out how much your car's worth, or you just want to beat my time, enter your reg number now at webuyanycar.com. Think I might give it another go. 21, get in.
Admin fee may apply. For more information, see webuyanycar.com/info.
The new iconic Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 is now available at Vodafone with an amazing deal. You can save up to £600 with unbeatable trade-in. Just trade in an eligible device using our trade-in tool. And our trade-in price won't be beaten by any other network standard prices. Now available with Vodafone Evo. Go online or in-store. Vodafone.
Ends 23rd of September. Trade-in price for eligible device in good working condition versus other mobile networks excluding promos. Terms, checks and saving info at vodafone.co.uk/trade-in.
Openreach are upgrading their national telecommunications network to an all-IP future. Before the end of 2025, all existing business analog and ISDN lines will be switched off. If you currently use an analog or ISDN connected telephone system, now is a good time to consider an upgrade with Spitfire network services to the benefits of a voice over IP service such as a hosted or cloud PBX. Work from home or office with no setup cost and a low monthly rental. Take action today and go to spitfire.co.uk/big-switch-off. Spitfire, award-winning telecommunications for business since 1988.
This is the sound of Tony selling his car on Motorway. You see, as Tony works on his forehand, Motorway works on getting the best price for your car. There's over 5,000 verified dealers, plus it doesn't cost a thing to sell, and they take your car away for free. Motorway, the way to sell your car. Visit motorway.co.uk.
Nick Ferrari and Breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Well, that interview's got you talking. And by the way, while we were away for a second, our reporter's been moved on from Buckingham Palace because she doesn't have the right accreditation or something. This is absolutely absurd. Here we are. This is from Max. This shows everything that's wrong with our current police service. Where's the element that he put forward? Why can't they be more understanding? Gary Moore says, how much Semtex can you get in a tent? Well, how much Semtex can you get in a backpack or a handbag? You have sniffer dogs for all of it. You don't know anything. You don't know anything anywhere near without it going past a sniffer dog. But I'm saying that they have to read the mood of the public. And of course there's a terrorist threat. That's why we had all the police officers and the backup Range Rovers, whatever else it might have been, and probably a police helicopter as well. And that's absolutely right. But I say again, to someone who's been queuing for 30 hours and wants a glass of Ribena or orange juice, I do find that rather extraordinary. But let's see how it plays out. Front pages of the newspapers in a moment, because I just want to catch up with a royal commentator well versed in these matters, Caroline Aston, is features writer for Majesty magazine. Are you surprised that there's already, seems to be some kind of concern that not enough people are going to be able to get to see the Queen's body? They're trying to think if there's a way they can somehow extend it. Caroline, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I am concerned. A tsunami of humanity is about to break over Westminster Hall, basically. And when you consider the Queen's not even been dead a week yet, well, really, I mean, the security...
In 2 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Very tired people, very interested in the piece about King Charles's petulance over pens. That seems to be becoming a bit of a theme here. Wasn't too happy with pens at the Accession Council, if you remember. But this is a man grieving, the nation is grieving. You know, really, we're talking about people coming to London because they don't want to be observers. They want to be participants, to put their thread in the tapestry of history. monitoring, and I'm afraid the security services, the police, you know, they've got to click into action very quickly, and people will get cross. And as for protesting, well, maybe it's not appropriate, but we're in a democracy. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death my right to say it.
Caroline, we'll talk again at the time of the funeral. I have to move now. I have strong views, and I love your line about adding to the thread of the tapestry of it all, the third thread of tapestry. Caroline Aston, features writer for Majesty magazine. Thank you for that. I'm sorry it was brief, because I must get to the front page of the newspapers, where all but one, and we've talked about this before, how there is one image that out of this extraordinary moving tableau of scenes and images and stories that absolutely sears itself into the public conscience, whether it was the first time that the so-called Fab Four, the two princes with their respective wives, emerged, whether it was the one of the king and his siblings standing up in Edinburgh by the coffin. This one is the coffin, this morning's is the coffin arriving at Buckingham Palace. Led home by lights of love is the Daily Mirror, and that's a picture of the mourners holding up, I would imagine, their mobile phones as they're photographing it, and indeed the lights in the back of the hearse. Welcome home, Ma'am is the front page of the Sun. Home for one last time, the Daily Express. Home to her family is the Daily Mail, with that picture of the police officers on the motorbikes bowing their heads as they go past, because of course last night was for the family. Home to rest is the Times. The Queen returns home is the front page of the Eye. We'll walk with Gran is the Metro. William and Harry to follow the Queen's coffin with Charles today. Well, my LBC colleague Martin Stanford is joining us in about a quarter of an hour's time. He'll be taking us through exactly what is happening today. The Daily Telegraph call it the final homecoming. The Guardian, actually, it is the picture, but their main story is one that the anti-obesity campaigners are furious at a review of measures to promote healthier eating. That is a story. Of course it's a story. Whether it's a splash on a front page on a day like today, don't know. And interesting, the Financial Times, they have a bit, but I don't know why they, unless they go to press really, really early, I don't know why they'd run with the picture of the rehearsals. And there you see some soldiers and others rehearsing. Well, I can tell you what time this was taken. This was taken at 5:05 yesterday morning. So why you'd run that picture? This is rehearsals taking part yesterday. Right, those are the front pages. Let's talk to some of you, your views, whether it be your security and, of course, whether you're trying to hopefully be one of those 400,000 odd who will get to file past the body of the Queen. Now, Darren joins me now. I think you're a super fan, I read. You've come from Australia, is that correct? Good morning, Darren.
Good morning, that is correct.
Should that be g'day?
Super fan. Yes, good day. How you going?
G'day, sport. I'm well. Why and how long are you here for?
I am due to be in the UK for 10 days, and the purpose of me coming is to pay my respects to the passing of the Queen.
So when do you haven't arrived yet? When do you leave?
I leave in just over 12 hours.
Why does she mean
to arrive in London Friday morning?
Darren, why does the Queen mean so much to you? What is it, 13,000 miles away in Oz?
Yeah, look, for me, I grew up spending a fair amount of the time with my grandparents watching lots of British television, which included lots about the royal family. My grandmother was a very keen royalist, was a huge fan of the Queen, and I think that's where my admiration for the Queen came from. And it's just something I feel very strongly that I need to do. I think I've said a few times to a few people I would feel very guilty if I didn't do.
Did your whole family, did they enjoy the royal family as much as you, Darren?
Not quite as much as me, no. I'm probably the biggest fan in the family, to be honest.
And you've been over before for major events? Did you been to a jubilee or a royal wedding?
I haven't, unfortunately, been able to make it to any major events, but I was very fortunate to bring my two grandparents to the UK back in 2013. Both 85 at the time. It was their first time overseas.
Right.
I brought them over to show them where their families were from, but also to visit all the royal staff.
I'm sorry to be a bit crass, but you're an Australian, so you'll be used to fairly direct questions. Mate, how much is this going to cost?
It's costing an absolute fortune. The flights were over $6,000, and I'm sure you can all imagine how much everything else is costing, accommodation.
Well, hotels, there's a story, I don't know whether you're staying in London, but there's a story that rooms that are normally going for, this is pounds now, about £250. In some instances up to like £750, £800. That's how much they're... Go on.
That is correct, yes. I did witness...
In 300 yards, at Junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow Hayes.
Went skyrocket.
Okay. I don't know, are you in work? Have you had to take time off from your work?
I have had to take time off work, yes. But I'm very fortunate to have a understanding workplace. I do work in healthcare.
Oh, okay. Mate, maybe we'll give you a call when you get here, if that's all right. If we can, if you speak to one of my colleagues, I'd love to. Are you ready to wait 35 hours or something at the end of a 5-mile queue?
Exit at Junction 3.
I absolutely am.
All right, mate, have a ripper time, and maybe we'll talk to you. Cheers, Paul. Maybe we'll talk to you when you get over. That's Darren. Do we have a last name?
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway A312.
Getting his way to Melbourne Airport, ready to fly. But let's talk to Darren when he gets here in the UK, please. We need to do it. Someone have a word with him now. One other aspect that we need to... And we will talk security, by the way, with you. And I'm going to say I think it's rather heavy-handed by the police, looking at the colour of the drink in your bottle and telling you to fold up a tiny 10. I mean, please. And also evicting reporters because they don't have the right licence. I mean, really. Can we get a bit of perspective? But the other big story, of course, is the idea of the security that will be provided. But the dignitaries who are arriving, and this idea that many will be brought in from West London on a bus, I believe an electric bus, I'm not sure if that's been confirmed, but not so, I think, for US President Joe Biden. Now, the Times has been leading on this story. Policy editor Oliver Wright joins me now. What's the latest that we know, and what do we surmise? Oliver, good morning.
Good morning. I mean, it's a huge operation. They've invited the leaders of pretty much every country other than Russia, Belarus and Myanmar. Many of those are going to take up their invitations to come to London for the funeral, and somehow they've got to get them all to the Abbey on time, along with everyone else who's going there. And, the difficulty with this sort of thing is that, countries, they may be smaller than the UK, they may be, less powerful, but they want to be treated with respect. So this is a massive nightmare for the Foreign Office. How do you, what do you afford to different countries? Who gets their own car? Who gets to ask to take the bus? It's not an easy operation. You do have to have sympathy for them.
The possibility for diplomatic incidents, Oliver, here is endless. What have they decided with President Biden?
I think, well, with Biden, they've made it clear that he will be able to take the Beast, the Cadillac, the armoured Cadillac, which he takes all over the place. I mean, the line is, look, there are going to be different security concerns for different leaders. And, it's not about, saying that he's more important, therefore he gets his car rather than the bus, but just because, there are much bigger security concerns around people like him, people like Macron, the Japanese emperor. I think you'll see most of the G7 countries, their leaders will come on their own. It will be the smaller countries which will be asked to sort of share transportation.
Can I suggest the best bus in the fleet for Commonwealth leaders? We need to look after those folk. They need to be made to feel welcome. Otherwise they might go home with a few doubts, Oliver.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I mean, the separate bit is the sort of the receptions that are going to be held. There's a reception on Sunday night at Buckingham Palace with members of the royal family. Then there are going to be 2 receptions after the funeral. I think one is going to take place at Windsor. And interestingly, the people that get invited to the more exclusive Windsor reception after the funeral are going to be the leaders of the Commonwealth and realms. So I think they're getting special treatment there. The others end up in Church House, so I think there'll be sort of members of the government there.
Oliver, thank you. Well done with editorial. The Times has been leading on this story. Oliver Wright is policy editor over on that paper. Right, I'm sorry we haven't got your calls, Paul. We will talk to you about the idea of liquids and folding your tents and reporters being evicted down at the palace in a moment. And also after the news.
The Queen will lie in state at Westminster Hall from 5 o'clock today. I'm LBC's Martin Stamford with a full run-through of all today's royal developments.
7:31, breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari on LBC. Time for the news, Simon Conway.
The Queen has spent a final night at Buckingham Palace before she lies in state from later this afternoon. King Charles, Princes William and Harry...
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
Behind her coffin to Westminster Hall. Military guards of honour will be positioned along the route. The queue to see the Queen lying in state could be as long as 5 miles.
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
A major policing operation is in place over the next few days when hundreds of thousands of people will wait in line to see Her Majesty's coffin. There was a slight fall in UK inflation last month, but it still remains close to its 40-year record. Official figures show the CPI measure reached 9.9% in the year to August, down from 10.1% in July. The drop was driven by the price of petrol going down. LBC weather: rain in the far south slowly clearing, otherwise mostly dry with good sunny spells, light showers for parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, and a high of 22 degrees.
This is LBC.
Thinking of a new phone? At Vodafone, you can get the latest phone with the UK's only buy-back guarantee. We'll guarantee how much we'll buy your phone back from you next year. And with Vodafone Evo, you can spread the cost of your phone over 3 to 36 months, interest-free. All on the UK's reliable award-winning network. Switch to Vodafone.
Selected devices only.